What's up, y'all? A nail biting and a wig twisting win. Bears win 24-20. That kid Caleb Williams came through again. Let's get it.
Bears win. Bears win.
I'm taking the W, guys. Never apologize in the NFL for getting the win. Ever. There you go.
Man, I can get used to that, man, saying Bears win after.
Yep.
Hey, I'm ready for the good, better, best. Yeah, it looked a little bit scary for a minute.
Reach in my pocket.
Hey, one thing you can say about these Bears,
as long as he'll reach in his pocket, reach out his pocket.
What's that?
Yeah.
What's that guy?
I said he got to get sick. He got to reach in both his pockets and pull out that six. I hope he don't pull too hard and pull his drawers off.
Oh,
like I can't. Oh, we can.
Ooh, okay.
You take it though, man.
The Bears could make a game that looked kind of boring and uninterested for 3 quarters. They could make that game look exciting in the last 3 or 4 minutes of the game. I mean, whatever was happening those 3.5 quarters, they pushed it in the rear and started playing football. And it also helped that they was able to get that turnover on Jackson Dart, which actually ended up the same play that he ended up having the concussion on.
Yeah, you know, as a running quarterback, it's only so many times you're going to get away with that. The story of the NFL is always quarterbacks get down. Once you get a first down or whatever, you get the most you can, stop. You know, the more you keep doing that, the more you got a chance to get hit. And also, because he just witnessed what happened to Scatterboo a couple weeks ago, he should have been able to try to adjust his game a little bit. But, you know, young guys out there with adrenaline, I hope he comes out okay.
They always kind of do that stuff. The young guys do it because they feel like they got something to prove.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you show me a guy that has just tries to show, you know, that you have something to prove. I show you a guy that's going to be out the league with some type of concussion and a bad injury, man. I was looking at J.J. McCarthy with the Vikings when they lost, man. He's doing all types of spins and shakes, and I'm like, you lucky you didn't get your head knocked off.
You know who I think will get the Bears Defensive Player of the Game? C.J. Gardner-Johnson. That dude got two sacks, a couple tackles for loss. And the thing that they don't play, that people don't know, I'm sure he was in everybody's ear every second, letting them know how much he was beating them down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that turned out to be a good signing with him. He had sacked last week, and he was disruptive. And you know, to come into this game this late into the season, I know he played in New Orleans, but still, to me, he's looked better than some of the corners right now, starting every week. And this game, and you know what? One thing you could take away from these games, if you don't want to take anything else from it, Caleb Williams have that Michael Jordan gene as far as the game winner. I mean, he's clutch.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, they find so many hyperboles and they find so many excuses. And I'm quite sure some people will look at this win and start complaining about a whole lot of stuff. But it's just like you in Chicago right now where it's snowing and you stand on the bus and say you need a car. And your parents buy you like a used Cutlass that runs and you mad that you didn't get a BMW. You know what I mean? It's like, doggone if you do, doggone if you don't. But Caleb, I could see it last year. It's just like in the pocket. You know, you see quarterbacks in the pocket, like they stressed out. It just looks like he's like just in there. It's just like he's comfortable. But he seems like when those big moments come up, they're never too big for him. It's like it seems like that he actually looks forward to them. I love that, man. I love it about that kid.
Yeah, one thing about that, a slow ride beats a fast walk any day. So
Four wheels is better than two heels.
there you go. Hey,
Hey,
Caleb Williams came through, 2 touchdowns within the last 5 minutes. And the great thing about it is I came to expect it. You can never really count on that happening, but I wasn't overly nervous because I didn't see this dude do it over and over and over again. So there's a whole lot more people being a little bit quiet about who the Bears took number one last year. So that's a little funny in itself.
Plank, last year they blew the we all talked about this. They blew quite a few games where they was in the same situation where they actually rallied. I hate watching what happened last year, but I'm happy that Flus is gone. Because if they had won some of those games, unfortunately, he would probably still be here, right? Because they blew about 4 or 5 games, and they could have been like 9 games, and they probably wouldn't have fired with 9 victories, especially with a rookie quarterback. So I guess the great thing about it was we know Caleb could do that last year, and we have a coach that has been able to tap into that and able to make great decisions down the stretch. So, man, even though I got a text saying, man, the Bears struggle against the whatever team, 2-win team. The NFL is not hard. It's hard to win. You don't make it. Look, you're playing your opponent. And like Guy said, you're not playing their record. You're playing that opponent that's on the field, not their record.
Yep. But that's how winning is done. You got to beat the person in front of you. You can't always count on the next guy or who else you think is going to make it because they may not make it either. So I'm glad we got this W. Fourth quarter, the Bears are starting to scare a whole lot of people. Hey, I will tell you something, though, Bernard. That bandwagon, that Chicago Bears bandwagon, we got to get a bigger bus because it's real heavy, man. They holding stuff down. It's dragging the muffler a little bit. We got a whole bunch of people on there. But the other thing I can say, we're going to get a bigger bus. We can take more people on that. Come on.
We're going to start getting – y'all going to have some super transfers to get on our bus, though. But let's put this season in some type of perspective. We were bad last year, but we lost 6 games of 7 points or less. Now you're starting to see the turnaround where them games that we were supposed to win, they almost won. We're starting to eke them out. So that's why I was saying, don't sweat the small stuff. I mean, yeah, we maybe made some mistakes and didn't play as great as we should have. But by the same token, it's kind of nice, man, because what happens is when it's all said and done, when you look at a record, your record isn't contingent upon the number of points you lose by whatever it is. They just count wins, losses, and ties.
You're right.
Yeah. What we need right now is Washington to muster up some type of, win and knock the Vikings out, so we can hold on solid to second place in the division. But the Bears right now are 6-3, man, and we didn't. This is our 6th season doing this. And
you mean the Lions?
The Lions. Washington. Thanks for the correction.
That's fine.
We've sat through 6 seasons of pretty much losing season, and we're on the verge of this may be the most wins that they might have in the season since we started this podcast in 2020. I think we might have had 8 wins the first season, but after that, it's been downhill.
We started a year after that year. We went. What was it? Was it 3 or something like
2018?
That? Yeah,
2019.
Yeah. So, we started the year after that. But yeah, it's great though, man. I mean, you know what? They nail biters you on the edge of your seat. You look at it, you see some of the craziest stuff. Vikings already lost. Yep. So, like you say, man, we don't look at we just play the teams that are in front of us. And I think what people need to understand is a lot of these teams that have bad records, some of them you look at, they losing them games by 7 points or less. So it's not necessarily you looking at the record. You want to look at the team. Let's see, 4-quarter football at its finest. I'll take that.
Hey, Zeb, that's a great point. Because if you look at football games, like say, unless a team making a lot of mistakes or they've kind of quit on the coach, football basically going to come down to the fourth quarter. And I know people may think, right, because you score high on one week, that's not going to happen every week. most games are going to come down to what do you do in the fourth quarter. And what you did see in the fourth quarter was the Bears' confidence rose in the fourth. And if you looked at it, the Giants did what we would have done in previous years. They started choking. They made excessive amount of penalties down the stretch of the game.
Yeah.
And actually, I thought it was a few plays. They should have actually even got called intentional grounding for, which is kind of questionable. Was anybody even in the area when Russell threw a couple of those passes? Then they even had a shank punt in the crucial moment of a game, right? Like, man, I was like, man, they got Bears written all over them.
That one. Remember that one where Caleb ran? He slid and dude hit him in the head with his knee. That's what I'm saying, man. When sort of changed the perspective? Because, like I said before, as I've said, like I preach to the heavens, when you're not winning, them little close plays that the referees are more likely to kind of look at and kind of reassess. They expect you messed up or you to won. So I think and I hope it kind of changes, though. I really do. It looks like we're starting to win now, so maybe they need to kind of take a look at it. But just as a whole, and it's not just the Bears. You look at the league, man. Some of these calls are atrocious, man. They give me the money. I at least mess up and still look better.
Hey, Mike, none of us was able to make it to the watch party today. But thank everybody who came to the Bears Banter Talk Show watch party, and kudos to Mike Patterson for putting it together. Him and
day one.
Mark,
I know Mo Man was there today because I heard from Mo Man. Hey, let's plan out the next one. But if we get enough time, then hopefully we could try to work out maybe even doing part of the podcast there or whatever. Right. But man, this game, man, it's so crucial because it's a big difference of being 6-3 versus 5-4. Because now you're starting to get some cushion, and other teams are starting to look at you, and they not penciling you in as a win. They actually are concerned. And I think who's up next? Is it Cleveland or I didn't look at the schedule?
I thought it was Minnesota.
It's Minnesota.
Okay.
In Minnesota.
Yeah.
They didn't look good today.
Let's get that day. Yeah, definitely. That's one we got to get, man.
I don't know. They look good to me. They got another L on them. So Baltimore is a lot better than people give them credit for. Baltimore's
won 3 in a row.
3-game winning streak. The Bears, we on a 2-game winning streak. Our last loss was at Baltimore. So, that's the key to having a good season. Even if you lose a game, you got to stop that losing streak as quickly as possible and go on. And, hopefully you can get a W. As long as you get more W's than you got L's, you had a successful season.
Right.
Okay.
That's true, man.
Hey, I put Caleb Williams' stats down here. Caleb was 20 of 36, 220 yards passing, 63 yards rushing. He passed for 1 TD. And he rushed for the game-winning TD. I didn't put his passer rated up here. I think it was like 85. Can one of y'all grab it? I think it was something like 80-something.
Yeah, he did all of that within the last 5 minutes, too.
And let's make the more important, as important as Plank mentioned on the offsite, no sacks.
Yeah.
He didn't get sacked. Okay, Caleb was his rating is 83.1.
83, okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing that he got no sacks in that because there was a couple plays he ended up putting a bunch of jukes on some live. That was hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of Zacchaeus was a good wide receiver. That dude dropped at least 4 passes today, and they hit it right in the hands. I'm like, dude, a quarterback can't throw it for you and catch it for you too. So. Mm-hmm. It looks, the national media is going to pick it up and say Caleb isn't accurate and look at his stats or whatever. But, that's not telling the real story of the tape. There was a whole lot of passes that he threw to receivers that hit him in the hands or fell off their hands. It happened a couple times with Doomsday as well. But Doomsday had a much better showing today. So that's
they're going to blame him throwing it too hard. Ask Mark Duper. Ask doggone Michael Irvin. Ask guys like that. Ask Shannon Sharp and guys like that. You got Elway, you got Marino, and who's my other guy? I just had him too.
Brett Favre.
You got 3 guys that's throwing missiles at you. And I was explaining too, if you look at most of them guys who were them dudes that like won rings and played with great quarterbacks like that has zip, you look at their hands look like this. Because guess what? You was gonna zip it if you was 3 yards away and they threw it hard. Guess what you knew your job was? To catch it.
Yeah, and you don't want to catch it with your fingers either, because that's how your fingers end up mangled for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening to Zacchaeus the last 2 games. I mean, because he's been very reliable most of the season, but last week he was dropping balls as well. So, hey, what's up, Antoine? Hey, thanks for tuning in.
The cash is going
we got receivers were off today. Hey, Reggie, I agree that they were off. I would say there maybe was 4 passes that I would say was uncatchable. Other than that, the rest of the balls hit guys in their hands. I mean, it hit them where it was supposed to hit them, right, in their hands. Rome, man, I love Rome. Rome has to prove he could catch the difficult passes. He's still not making. And when I say difficult passes, I'm talking about the ones you got to lay out for, the ones that you may have to, you're going to take a hit. Or like that guy did today on that was a difficult play where he jumped up and caught that ball with one hand, a cold ball, and he still managed to get it out. That's what I mean by make those difficult catches in those moments. Rome seemed to still drop those plays. So I want Rome father, hey, y'all got to get together and figure out how he's going to catch those difficult balls.
I'll tell you what, my number 2 wide receiver on the Bears now, my number 2 favorite is Luther Burden III, man. Ooh. This young man, he's out there and he's bringing it. When he catches the ball, he ended up making a catch, and he's in between 2 DBs. He planted his foot, put his head down, and tried to separate both of them, which is actually what you're supposed to do or try to do. This dude is he's hungry, and he can't wait to get in game. So Zacchaeus is hearing those footsteps, and he should.
Hey, 2 things, man. One, Luther Burden's pass radius is right there. It's just right there. You throw the ball anywhere near that dude, he catching it. The other one, they were that close from scoring that touchdown on 4th and 4 in the red zone. When DJ caught it, it was too wide. It was like too wide out on I think it was the very first drive or whatever. I'm thinking if it was Rome, and it's not like about a talent thing, it's a size thing. If he had been a little longer like Rome, then because his eyes, when he was focusing and throwing, you're thinking of the size of the window that you got that you're throwing. He could have probably threw it a little further out. He would have caught and got 2 feet in, but
all I know is that young man's a problem. So
yeah, he is, bro. Yeah, Luther's a serious problem. And if he catch the ball, you give him like 18 inches. It's over.
You know who showed up well today too? As the crunch moments, Colston Loveland made a nice hell of a catch, and they were struggling that particular series when he caught that ball because they seemed like they was just out of rhythm. Zacchaeus had just dropped the ball, and he's starting to show that he could bring down those cup catches, Colston. And he's like Luther. Both of them are making it hard for guys to bring down. They're not surrendering the tackle. They making guys tackle them. And
you want to know who had a really good game today?
What's that, Frank?
DeAndre Swift.
He sure did. Yes,
he get a lot of hoopla, and people gave him a hard time at the beginning of the year. A couple plays I seen this guy put his head down and dig to get that first down and get those extra yards. Mm-hmm. He did that consistently up to the point where they ended up having him in the game. He gives us an advantage over Monange because he's faster. But Monange, he had a good game, a good couple games. Both of those guys are starting to look really tough in the running game. So I think that's what's making a difference in our offense.
It's interesting that DJ actually had no catches today.
Wow.
He had 4 targets, but I'm looking at he had no catches.
He sure did.
You
know what? And we had 171 yards rushing, but you know what? The one thing that a lot of people are overlooking on this Loveland kid, man, The hands and the catching is one thing. That dude blocks like he's an underfed offensive lineman. That dude, when he seals blocks, it's one thing to block a guy, but it's another thing to not only correctly block a guy, but you seal off your guy. They had a couple runs. I think Swift had one run where, man, Loveland turned his guy, man, and it was just that much that got him through that hole. I think a lot of times when you're in the trenches, so many people either looking downfield or watching the ball as opposed to watching the line. But you got a tight end that can catch like that and block.
Yeah, I think what we saw today is what you might call ugly football. You know, I love ugly football as long as we get the W. Chicago Bears fans are looking for the Bears to win, again, a certain way. It has to look like, you know, we scored 75 touchdowns and the defense got 26 sacks. The truth of the matter is that's not how games are in the NFL. You get a W any way you can, and you go for it, and you worry about that next win. That's how you end up being successful in the NFL. So I think the Bears got a good mindset at this point. The coaches are doing a good job. So sure, we're rolling now.
Yeah, the thing I want to mention is talk about a few things that I thought was a little off other than some of the drops. Theo Benedict, oh my God, he had a horrible game. He was giving up so much pressure today. It's actually surprising that Caleb actually ended his game with sacked 0 times?
0 sacks, yeah.
I mean, as many times he literally ducked under plays immediately before he got to the top of his drop because Theo Benedict was just either straight missing this guy or maybe they overloaded his side, making him choose. But Caleb was able to avoid a bunch of sacks. I would say he probably evaded up to somewhere between 7 to 10 sacks today. Mm-hmm. Now, I will say what I did not like today was I didn't think Ben Johnson called a good game today. I thought, for example, one point in the game, and it was late in the game, either third quarter, early fourth, they got 8 yards on first down. Mm-hmm. Dude, just get to 2 yards. Bang it up front, get to 2 yards, get the new set of down, start over. He comes out on second down. They pass the ball. They get an incompletion. Third down, I think it ended up being a pass to the outside, and they end up losing 2 yards or whatever it was. But what he was doing early in the game to me was real predictable where they was going to run on first, pass on second and third. It didn't matter how many yards they got on first. It just seemed like he had his mind made up. Then also I thought I know some stuff he's still figuring out. I think he wanted to rotate the running backs consistently, but I think when you had that situation, you just play a guy until he either calls out or when he's not hot. So it seemed like even Swift played a good game, it seemed like Swift never really could get in the real rhythm. Then it seemed like they didn't know where they wanted to get Magunga in. Like even when they got to the goal line on that one where they settled for the field goal, it seemed like that's where you should have brought in Magunga. He already showed he could get the tough yards.
Yeah, you're right.
And you don't give it to him. If you fake it, you probably got an easy touchdown even on a play action pass because people just seen him bang it up in there constantly.
But that's just one thing that I'm giving a lot of credit to Ben Johnson. Because in the summer, he ended up having a lot of things that he was doing with Caleb Williams. So one thing he was doing, he had guys that were blitzing him that weren't called, that just decided to show up and try to disrupt the play, even when he's trying to install the offense. What that did was got Caleb Williams used to seeing guys in his face, getting into his game flow, trying to figure out what he was going to do. So at this point, when you got free runners, I've never seen anybody do that kind of magic and prestidigitation in a football game like this guy did. He escaped most of today than I've seen in a bunch of years. So hats off to Ben Johnson for trying to implement that early in the training camp, and hats off to Caleb Williams. He needs a lot of credit for that.
I got to give him a slide too, man, because what people need to understand is this. He is a rookie coach. He's a rookie head coach. You ask yourself a question. A lot of people talk about, such and such is going up for the presidency. They're not qualified. No one is ever qualified to be a president unless you've been the president before. Even as a vice president, you're qualified in the respect that you know how it works and you're around it, but you're not that dude. It's easy to be a offensive coordinator or whatever. And when you come into the head coach, and people automatically think that it's a seamless process, and it's not. I mean, but I give him credit. He didn't have a great game. He didn't have a great one today. But what he has managed to do in these 9 games that we've played is he's totally changed the moxie of our offense, where we're actually, you're actually seeing running plays that, as I always been saying throughout the years, we look at other teams and they'll run the same plays we run, and it's how they're supposed to look, and we never could. Now we're starting to look like we know what we're doing. But he had a bad game, but he's a rookie, just like what Plank said. The part that he did, which helped all of them for this moment, is he helped to prepare them for this moment in the offseason. So give him his props.
The Bears, I mean, I just have to say this. I think Dennis Allen is a good defensive coach. The Bears have to figure out how to fix their pass rush. The Bears' lack of pass rush is killing them. It's putting their defensive backs in too much of a position where if you really kind of like glancing at it, you think that these guys are just getting killed out there in the secondary. They're getting killed because they can't rush the quarterback. And you've had 3 sacks in the last 2 weeks. Not 3 sacks total, but you had 3 sacks. What I'm trying to say is from a guy you just signed in the secondary who actually has contributed to you even being able to get pressure. And he's new on the team. What you don't want to have is your cornerbacks have to be the ones, or nickelbacks, to get your sack. Now, Dennis Allen did call one play that I don't know what I don't know if the defense confused or what. It was like when they took that lead. I have no idea what they was doing. They had an overload. They had lined 3 guys up, almost like not a trip set, but kind of 3 guys on the one side. They literally had one corner guarding the guy to the farthest right, and the safety was 10 yards back. So you literally had 3 guys that was going to be able to catch an underneath route, and the next guy that was closest to them to make the tackle was 10 yards up the field. That was, I don't know what happened on that play. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Dennis Allen was putting together a bunch of popsicle sticks and other things on defense because there were a lot of formations that didn't make any sense. I remember that last touchdown they got. He ended up having it was overloaded. He had 6 of his guys, actually 7 of his guys on one side of the field. It was on the left side, and the quarterback just ran the other side. He ended up having his blockers outnumbered the defender. So I thought that was a questionable defense, but hey, I can't second guess everything this guy is doing. Again, he got bubble gum and popsicle sticks, and he's trying to put together a defense. I know we don't have a pass rush, much of a pass rush, but that's what we're going to be dealing with. We're dealing with this for the rest of the year.
But ask yourself a question though: how does a midget stop a taller guy from catching the pass? He trips him, right? So here's my point. Their pass rush hasn't been what we wanted, but they had 9 quarterback hits, and they had what else did they have? It was something else. They had 7 tackles for loss. So
and 4 sacks,
yeah. If you're not getting, and they had 4 sacks. So and CJ Gardner got 2 of them, and I know he's a defensive back, but the point is, yeah, we can talk about that. They do need a pass rush, but the point is, if you're not gonna get a pass rush, do something. And they did, and that helped them a whole lot. Now, if we'd have had like 4 sacks and like maybe 2 tackles for loss or something like that, and maybe 2 quarterback hits, we could really be concerned. So, the point made is you're right. We talked about this for a number of seasons too, how actually when Montez Sweat, before he came, our secondary looked horrible. And as soon as we got a pass rush, people were talking about going from, they're horrible to like, they're the best secondary in the league. It's because they gave the quarterback less time. So if we could just establish a pass rush, man, with them numbers right there, we probably have way more than 4 sacks.
Yeah, you know what? Then also, I don't want to misdiagnose the game and not say that quite a few of those pressures came when Russell Wilson came in. who's notorious for holding the ball a long time.
Yeah,
that's some of the how the game changed some as well. Because Jackson Dart was getting even though he had a lot of time, he actually was getting the ball out of his hand fast, and he was actually running with the ball a lot, and he was being very elusive with the ball. Russell, one of the things about Russell, which has always been puzzling, Russell is definitely probably going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback, but Russell have always been at the top of the league in sacks because for some reason Russell holds the ball entirely too long. And I knew when he came in, I was like, man, we got to get some sacks or some quarterback pressures. Russ going to hold that ball. I know that for sure.
Some reason or another, when we get a quarterback that comes out the pocket and run, for some reason or another, it seems like they always get over 10 yards.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. But Russ gonna give you a chance to get him though. And I'm just wondering because if you really look at his size, he's really not a big dude. Is it me or Stevenson becoming a liability? That's interesting.
Last week's.
I think he's a bit of a liability, but part of that is again once you get down to your third and fourth string DBs, it's kind of hard to decipher who's making the mistakes. A lot of times you end up seeing a guy trailing a receiver, and he might be the first one that notices that they're in the wrong defense.
Right.
So you end up looking bad, but you trying to still make a play. The Bears they've had a ridiculous amount of injuries this year. Whoever their trainer is going to be fired as soon as the Bears season is over because you're not supposed to have that many soft tissue kind of injuries. Your job is to make sure that the players are available for the game. Major injuries are going to happen to every team, but hamstrings and muscle tightness and that kind of stuff. That's what you do. That's what you got trainers for.
With Stevenson too. Yeah, he has to play within the scheme of the defense, but that unsaid rule because he's like the guy now that Jalen's out. He almost has to sort of semi-babysit the other guys too. He's almost has to sort of, call out certain things saying, hey, if this guy does this is what has to happen. If it's somewhat close to him, he may have to make a deal, like a sacrifice. It's like, okay, do I leave my guy and give up 10 yards or not leave my guy and he gives a 30 when I know I can help him to only get 7, Yeah,
it seemed like to me with Stevenson, and I don't know what was called, but it seemed like it was poor communication going on between somebody. I don't know who the poor communication was with, but it appeared to be several times where he thought that there was a safety over top.
Yep.
And he released the guy into an empty zone, and he kind of realized nobody wasn't back there, and he's now trying to recover. Okay, I don't know what it was supposed to, but because it happened several times, I'm going to lean to them that they probably had him in man. And for whatever reason, he didn't realize it until he released it because I can't see those safeties, Brisker and Bayer, continue to continue, right? Because they're the same two guys. So I can't see them continue to blow those coverages. So I believe he was not. And then also he had a mismatch today, to be honest. He was actually guarding some big dudes. I mean, he was them dudes he was guarding was about 6'2", 6'3".
But it's not like they had Malik Neighbors or any top wide receivers out there. So any of those guys, you think as a starting corner in the NFL, we should have had the advantage. We're talking about Stevenson. Stevenson's one of those on again, off agains, but a lot of times the good thing I can say about him is he competes. Yeah. You can see him coming up on the run. He's gonna try to stick his head in there. And a lot of cornerbacks aren't the guys that's trying to do any of that kind of stuff.
Right. Because what is he about 5'11"? The reason I mentioned that is because
he's 6'1", 6'2".
Okay, because he looked like he was burnt on a couple of like jump ball situations where he was kind of, this kind of too where you might have missed Kyler Gordon in a game like this because you were bringing CJ quite often trying to help generate some pressure on the quarterback, and they was bringing safety pressure a lot too, so that could have been part of the miscommunication because there was some safety pressure. I'm thinking about this stuff on the defense. Man, right when you get an opportunity for a red zone pick, you got to catch that ball, because if you pick that ball off, that's that 3 points that was the difference in that game for a while. You got to catch that. It's no if, but whatever. A red zone pick that actually comes your hand. I don't care how good that the offensive guy trying to knock it out. You got to come up with it.
You're right, but if they could catch, they would be wide receivers, not DBs. So
let me ask you something real quick, Plank. And I might have to bounce in a second. I think my call's about to come through. Just say you run a certain type of cover too, to whereas you got blanket safety over, but you're supposed to follow your man. If you've got a guy who you've been together with for years, you guys have an understanding. Can you guys implement something to where it's, hey, if he's coming over my left shoulder back here, I'm going to drop off and bring him to you. But if he comes this way, I'm going to close in. Or do you have to strictly stay to that play?
No, you can absolutely, work with the rest of your backfield mates and kind of, if y'all see something the same way, that's all that really matters. And
that's
at the end of the day, the thing that's important is that you get a stop. And what is a stop?
That's true.
As long as the other guy doesn't catch the ball, that's a successful stop. No matter if he's running down the field by himself and he missed the ball, it doesn't hurt you. The best thing you can have as a DB is a short memory.
Hey guys, I got to run, man. I got this NCSA call for my grandson. They're about to do his profile for St. Rita and stuff. So
good luck.
Have a great show, guys.
All right.
Down.
All right. Hey, thanks, guys, for coming in. Hey, Plank, I was looking at this game, and I was looking at some of the stats for both teams. An interesting thing, if you look at it, you could kind of, from a perception point of view, think that their quarterback completed more passes as a whole, but they actually was about the same. Just overall, the Giants completed 22 out of 36 attempts. The Bears completed 20 out of 36 attempts. So, you can swatch out that if it was Russ or whatever, but when it'll get down to it, as far as the performance by the quarterback in general was about the same. Now, they did have more rush yards than the Bears. Total offense, they have 431 total offensive yards, and the Bears had 391 offensive yards. Let me correct that. So the Bears had two more rush yards than them, but total offense they had, because they had more passing yards than the Bears.
Okay. Yeah, well, you know what, Jackson Dart, he showed himself well today. He engineered his team. A lot of guys on his team that were out there weren't the guys that he expected to have out there this year, but he still competed. And that's one of the things that you actually notice about a good quarterback. It doesn't matter if he has all of the players or all of the blockers or all the receivers. He's going to get out there and compete. And he made the team look a whole lot better than what the team actually is. Now, at the end of the day, he didn't win, but he made a good accounting of himself.
Yeah, you know what? He's going to be a good player in this league. It turned out to be a good draft pick. I know it was people who was kind of talking about the Giants drafting him that early. But he's going to be a good player in this league, because he's got off to a good start, and his decision making is good. Well, he better start sliding. Now that part may be a little question. He better start sliding.
Again, I keep saying his boy Scatterboo already been broke, so now he broke too. I don't know if Mike. I don't know about that. I don't know if we can ever say we don't win if this guy stays healthy, because you never know what's going to happen in the game. Somebody can get hidden, make a fumble or slip, or anything can happen. So whatever did happen is what was gonna happen. So I'm glad he wasn't in the game at the end as well, because he was making plays all over there. And we had no kind of rhythm on defense when trying to catch that guy.
Here's the thing that happened when he went out, which was interesting. They actually started running the ball better, because prior to that point, other than his rush yards, they were not running the ball well. But so it seemed like they ran with more authority when he got there. But I could say, never underestimate in any sports when you have a clutch player that the other team start contributing to that moment. And when they ended up having to punt, I'm telling you, it's the tenseness that made him the kicker. They probably like, hey, make sure you kick it back there. We got to get a stop, etc. Right? And then the kicker is tense. Then all of a sudden he shanks the ball. Right?
So 85 Bears, man. They played against the Giants. The Giants did the same thing. Their kicker came out and shanked the kick for like 9 yards or something like that, and that took us over. But sometimes the moment is too big for some of these guys.
That's true. You know, the Bears win the game 24-20. Thank everybody who's watching on YouTube, LinkedIn.
Guys, come on.
Hit that subscribe button. Subscribe to Bears Banter Talk Show. I know Jay couldn't make it today. You know, him and his queen went on a romantic getaway, so I don't think he was able to make it to Soldier Field. I don't know. Jay might have found a way to get there. I don't know.
Let's hope not, man, because we don't want her mad at us.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine what it was like today at the watch party today. I know it probably was a lot of like, hey, what's going on? Hey.
Yeah, Mike, how was it on the watch party? Give them the link. So I'd like to hear about how that goes as well. So
yeah, Mike. Let me see if you want to come on. Mike sent me the video of some of the stuff that happened at the watch party. I'll send him the link. I don't know if he want to get on and I kind of talk about what happened. So I'll send it to him shortly.
Okay.
But Plank, when you look at this game, I think the only time I started getting a little concerned was around 8 minutes. I was starting to get concerned that if they didn't get a stop, time might not be on their side, right? Because now you're starting to get where you only have so much time, and what you cannot do is let a team drive the ball. And the Bears was able to get that was a crucial stop to me at that point, because I think I even sent y'all a text like, man, time is starting to run out.
When they kicked the field goal, the last field goal, you mean?
It was just at some point when I can't even remember what the score was at the time, but it was just like one of those drives where you like, okay, you got to start picking up the pace because time is, because sometimes with a game, when you start getting in that fourth quarter, it becomes about time as well. And that was the time I was starting to get a little concerned, but I really wasn't. I figured if they got that to get that 3 and out, that the Bears, the way they've been playing, they'll be able to pull us off.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Jackson Dart, he kept us off balance the whole game. So when that guy went down, a lot of times it's kind of hard to for your team to kind of rally around the next leader or whatever. Even though it was Russell Wilson, Russell Wilson has been cooked the last 3 years at least, but he's continuing to make his money and do whatever. But I'm not really nervous anytime I see Russell Wilson playing quarterback against my team.
Yes, sir. Hey, I just got a message from Christian saying good win. Yes, sir. Hey, Mike, I did send it to you if you get a chance. I know it's last minute, so you may not be able to get on to talk about the watch party today. But it was nuts when Caleb scored. I bet it was.
Hey, it was nuts in my house when he scored too. I get to hollering and cussing and doing all kind of stuff. So I understand how the environment must have been.
Yeah. This is about 2 weeks ago, Plank, I think it was the Ravens game, and one of the announcers said like it wasn't really true for what he said. Caleb Williams has to prove that he can win the game for the Chicago Bears. He said something like that. They won today because Caleb Williams was clutch in those moments.
Yep.
He got him out of the field. He threw the touchdown, and then he ran that touchdown at the end, and he walked that sideline. Man, nothing is greater than watching that young quarterback, I'm sure as a player, where you can start trusting them when you look in the huddle and like, man, we got a chance. We got a chance.
Yeah. You know what? Anytime I see this guy in the fourth quarter, I have confidence in him because he's done it since he got to the Bears. Even in games that they were losing last year, there were a couple of games where he got the ball in the fourth quarter and he led us to either a field goal or a touchdown to put us either ahead or within range. And then, defensively, we sucked and ended up losing the game on some terrible play. But it has not been all against, Caleb Williams. This guy has really been doing a good job. And again, I'm glad that we took that guy. They can say whatever they want to say about Drake May or whoever the next quarterbacks are. Oh, and just to mention it, I watched Bo Nix. Bo Nix sucks. I don't know who has him rated higher than Caleb Williams. I know this team is 8-2, but the team is not 8-2 because of Bo Nix. Trust me. So it's just funny how the national media they're keeping making fools out of themselves because the whole games they're getting behind and they're talking about Caleb Williams isn't good and he needs to get better and he needs to do this and these are easy. And at the end of the game, he's still got the W.
Yeah, that's a good point about Bo Nix. I watched him the other day, and I would say I might have seen him twice this year, and I saw him maybe 3 times last year. And I swear, the games I watch, like I watched, as a matter of fact, one game that stood out to me last year was the game against Cleveland. And that game, I want to say Jameis threw about 3 to 4 picks, but it ended up still being a shootout, even though Jameis threw about three or 4 INTs. Matter of fact, he threw about 2 pick six in that game.
That's
but I'm looking at Bo Nix was actually struggling in that game as well. I don't know. I think that some of it is just the it's a group of people who want Caleb to fail, and they're sticking to that narrative, and they're for whatever reason they're not going to give them credit. So what they'll do is they'll discredit the opponent when the win comes, and they discredit the opponent. Oh, that was only the Giants, right? Oh, okay, that was only the Bengals, right? Eventually, after a while, we'll be like, who else is supposed to be? It's the teams that are on their schedule, right? I mean, that's the only way you can play. You got to play the team that's on your schedule. You can't play the hypothesis team, right?
You're right.
Hypothetically, if we played them, that hypothetically is not a team that's listed on your schedule. There's no team called hypothetically.
You're right. That's pretty amazing. But last I heard earlier this year, the Giants beat Philadelphia, and they beat the Chargers. So they are a legitimate pro football team. They're not going to win every game, but you got to take your victories whenever you get them, and don't apologize ever to any other team or anybody for taking a W. That's what separates the men from the boys in the NFL.
You know, Mike had made a comment down there about Caleb not getting hurt. Caleb is tough as nails. I don't care what you say about Caleb. One thing you cannot discount is his physical toughness. He took a beating last year, and he took some hits in this game, even though he did get sacked. And he lowered his shoulder on a couple of those runs and try, to get the first down. And at one point, Caleb was limping in this game, and he got back up. And one of the things that Caleb did one point, and I remember some people making fun of it, but it's smart for him to do it. Not making fun of it today, before Caleb is not getting those calls. He's not getting those hit in the heads, the tackle below the knees. He's not getting those calls. He's not getting that on the sideline and the guy hit him on the white. But what he has to do is what he's doing at times. He has to sell it by laying down a little longer, because if you don't sell it, we know, and the truth of it is, a lot of quarterbacks in the run don't get those calls until, until they thought, okay, yeah, they did it. Because other than that, we've seen it for years. Mobile quarterbacks, they could get tossed and hit late and they don't get nothing. Then you got some quarterbacks, man, the flag will be 2 or 3 seconds after the play over.
Yeah, I mean that call they didn't make today against Caleb Williams was pretty horrible because they had just made a call against the Bears when they had sacked Jackson Dart, and I think it was Sewell that ended up hitting him and having his helmet come off and all of that. And you heard the announcer saying, "Hey, it's the defensive guy's responsibility to not hit the quarterback. That's all on the defender. There's nothing else you can do." 2 plays after that, the Bears get the ball, and Caleb Williams is sliding, and one of their linebackers comes up and hits him with his knee in the back of the head. So when you're sliding, you're basically saying, "I give up on the play. I'm giving up my own body." You're not supposed to be touched at that point. So it was funny that the same guy was saying, "Oh, well, that wasn't really a hit, and y'all got to let that go." And I'm like, wow, that's amazing how we get these double narratives because it's players that these guys don't like. And I don't know what it is about the media. It sounds like a lot of people have decided they don't like Caleb Williams as a person. That's okay. I'm not your friend. I'm out here to play football. You ain't got to like me. Let's go.
Yeah, great point. Hey, man, I just looked up at the TV plank and don't look like we're gonna get that Lions loss because right now they putting the world beating on watching it right now. 22-3 in the second quarter. So
we've seen the Lions do that. They did that to us actually. So
right. So they're not playing with them. I want to mention something before. Well, I mentioned before we close. I want to mention Mike Shaw, but I want to end the show on that. But hey, Plank, when you get to so we look at some of the penalty, the Bears, I don't remember what the penalty was, but they wasn't as penalized as heavy as they had been. And special teams was a whole lot more cleaner today than it had been in recent games. They didn't give up that many yards on, they gave up some on kickoffs. You're going to give that up, but it wasn't, painful to watch today. And of course, kicking game didn't play no part because the weather was just that bad. I know they kicked the one field goal, but
somebody must have told Santos that, "Hey, you can be replaced, buddy. It's about time." When you start hitting that knock on the door and it's your replacement, you get a little bit of pep in your step and try to do a little bit better. So if that's what we need to have happen, so do it. So be it. I think Richard Hightower also feels a little heat on his neck, and he probably should. He's the special teams coach, and you can't have all those plays that we've had in the last couple weeks that made us look bad. But today, everything worked out for the best. And I think Santos had a decent game for what he did. He wasn't kicking the ball as a long line drive, so he even did better in the kickoffs as well.
Okay. Yeah, Plank, I'd like to get some grades. I want to get to the off. I start with the offense myself.
Let's do it.
The offense, they struggled the first half. It was a lot of just drops. They really didn't have any rhythm, but when it came down to it, they ended up pulling it out, and they ended up that last quarter they played as a whole unit. But still, with that said, I'm just going to give the offense a C today.
Okay. I'm gonna give the offense probably a C would be accurate, maybe a C plus. I mean, at the end of the day, they ended up winning the game, and they pulled it out in the fourth quarter when games are won or lost anyway. So we can't have it both ways. They didn't score 47 points this week, but the number of penalties were down. You saw the offensive linemen that were doing a very good job blocking. And whether that's how the game looked or not, they came through, and the quarterback wasn't sacked. Now we know he took quite a bit of hits, but in the record books, he wasn't sacked at all today, which I don't think is true. So I think a C plus is what the offense warrants based on today's game.
I think that's Moju. Is that Moju or Mojoy? Man,
Mo guy.
What a game!
Hey, thank you. Yeah, what a game. Sure, we'll take it.
We take those W's anytime they come.
Yes, sir.
Defense, man, this is interesting because you gave up a lot of yards. you were getting drove on a lot, and you had penalties in some situations that ended up extending some drives where you had kind of looked like you had stopped the drive. But like I said about the offense, when it got down to the fourth quarter, the defense actually ended up making the plays that was necessary to pull this game off. And you held the team to 20 points, which is about the league norm. But that's a kind of like a uneven performance by both units. So I had to get them a C as well.
Yeah, with the defense, we held them. The league average is 23. So anytime you hold a team under 23, you're doing better than what the average is. So you're sliding the scale upwards. Defense, we got 4 sacks today, 9 quarterback hits, 7 tackles for loss. So at the beginning, in the first half, the Bears, they weren't giving up anything when they were trying to run the ball. So we actually looked like a stout running defense at the first half of the game, but then the second half, they were gushing us. So I'm going to get a defense 1 turnover. They held them under 23 points. They only scored 20 points. That put us in a position to win. I'm going to get a defense a C+.
A C+? Okay.
Again, we still playing with second and third tier players. Some players that come in and we sign this week, and you put them out there on the field. So that's the best you can do. But don't apologize for getting a W.
Yeah, and also I think you can never give enough credit to how well that TJ Edwards plays and impacts that defense.
He makes a difference.
Yeah, it makes a difference. Noah Stewart is a good backup when he's out, but he's not. It's not like CJ. I mean, it's not like when you have TJ out there playing. Noah Stewart actually missed quite a few tackles today, where he missed tackles that ended up leading to extended to. Matter of fact, it was one play I'm thinking about. He had read the play well. He was right there, in which would have stopped that play for no gain or maybe 2 yards lost. He not only missed the play, the running back ended up running down the field for I think another 15, 20 yards after 42. That initial contact. How much was it?
42.
42. So I'm sorry, I got the number wrong. 20 more yards than that. So 42 yards. Yeah. As a linebacker, you cannot read a play that dead on and actually hit the guy. It's one thing if it's a Barry Sanders type thing and the guy make you totally miss. And you hit the guy head on and didn't bring him down. And so they did have TJ Edwards missing. So that does make a difference on how that team run. But still, you've been able to come out in this game with TJ Edwards being out. And I had to give you credit. I thought that was one BS play on Grady Jarrett right near the stretch when they called him for a holding. I don't know. I didn't really see that holding on that play.
I didn't either. So, but they looking for stuff. You see things that TJ Edwards brings to the game when he's not there. This guy's a sure tackler. He reads the defense very well. He's generally always in position, and you can't really replace a guy like him with somebody substandard. Noah Sewell, he's a good linebacker against the run. That's basically it. Pass defense, he's not really going to give you anything. So we got to take the good with the bad. But again, the Bears have had quite a few injuries. TJ Edwards is another one of those players that has soft tissue injuries. He's got issues with his hamstring. So time you start seeing multiple players having the same kind of soft tissue issues, that points to a larger issue. And I keep going back to the trainer with that. But it looks like TJ Edwards is going to be back in a couple weeks. Even though he had surgery on his hand, they basically they're going to wrap that hand up like a club. I remember I broke my thumb when we were in college. I ended up playing basketball for the next 6 weeks with my hand on that club, and it didn't really stop me from doing anything either. So I imagine that's what's going to happen for TJ Edwards as well.
Yep. So special teams, I'm gonna give special teams a B today. I thought they showed up pretty well. They had a punt that actually that they kicked down. They had a hell of a punt on one play. They kicked the ball to the end zone right on that last possession where they really needed to because they really couldn't afford to have a great return. I thought they covered well whenever they punt. They covered well on the kickoff. They didn't have any penalties, on special teams that I could recall. So I really have no complaints. I say I give special teams a B today.
Yeah, from a special team standpoint, I think what we had to look for is continuous improvement. Just be better than you were to play before, the week before, the year before. Special teams definitely cleaned up a lot of stuff that they did last week. There were no penalties on special teams. It didn't come down to a bunch of kicks or whatever. And again, Cairo Santos looked competent. And, Torrey Taylor, we always forget this guy, but he is a heck of a punter. So I gave the special team with C+ today.
Okay, gave it C+. Okay. Let's get down to coaching. I thought coaching, grading the coaches is interesting because when it comes down to it, the coach's job basically is to win the game, right?
Yep.
So you won the game. There was less mistakes than you had the last few weeks. So they cleaned up a lot of the stuff. When it came down to the end, the offensive coach dialed up plays to actually seal the victory. On defense, he ended up calling plays to seal the victory. So I'll give the coaching overall today a B.
I think that's accurate. I mean, at the end of the day, the coaches, they've been talking about cleaning up penalties the whole time. You can't put all of the penalties on the coaches. By the same token, it's their job to make sure that the players are accountable to, not making mistakes. If you got a guy that's making too many penalties, you replace him with somebody else. What else can you do? But I thought the offensive coaches were a little bit behind. Some of the plays that we call were kind of disjointed. But that being said, coach got us to a W. I'm going to get the coaches a B as well.
Yeah, Plank can never underestimate coaching being a part of how a game closes out. I mean, I know you know that. I'm just kind of just talking. Because part of the reason the Bears blew games last year, the year before, and the year before that was coaching was part of the chaos of the choking, right? If the coaches could remain calm in those situations and make sure that they're calling a game that fits the situation and making sure that they communicate that to the players, a good example of that, and I hate to bring last year, but I think it'll help bring my point home, is the Thanksgiving game. See, it's easy to say, hey, the quarterback should have did this or whoever might have been. Your coach, under no circumstance, should allow a game to run out of time when he knows it's a timeout. It doesn't matter. He may get mad that the player didn't call, but there's no reason that if the player does not call it, he should call it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a sport where the coach could call timeouts.
Well, the interesting thing, you get to be a coach because you have proven through your history that you have been in these situations before and you've got a history of being successful. That's the thought process why you hire coaches, because they've been good at coaching before. The coaching job that we had last year was criminal. It just was. And you can now see leaps and bounds in every position. We're doing better than we did last year, with the exception of that trainer. So that still keeps coming up to bite us.
Yeah, yes, that's a great point. So we had to get ready for next week. I mean, it's feel good to go through this part of the season. You'll pass that 500 point, right? Because there's really like no 500 in the NFL now. So you almost got to count that ninth game as, so getting at the halfway point of the season, you're 6-3 at the halfway point, and you actually could get revenge on the Vikings because that's a game that you gave away. So that's the game where you like, man, we really could be 6-2 and be head of the division right now. So we got to get our get back because you're the Vikings next game, right?
Yeah.
Yep. This is when you got to get your get back from the Vikings and say, hey, you know what? We gave you that first one, but we're going to show that we're not the team that you faced on the season opener. And I'm looking forward to that, man, because going into this season, I had the Bears winning 9 games. So we're 3 games away from my prediction. I mean, I'm not trying to get ahead of myself, but we're 3 games ahead of what I predicted at this, 3 games away from what I predicted. So to me, all the stuff that I thought before the season started, I'm throwing out because this team is ahead of where I had predicted them to be at this point.
Well, me as well. I mean, I thought that 9-8 gets us to the playoffs. But at the beginning of the year, I thought the Bears would end up being 10-7. It looks like they are on path to do that. I don't know how we did it. Again, bubble gum and popsicle sticks or whatever. But I'm happy that we competitive. So that's basically the only thing us Bears fans want is a team that's going to get out there and represent Chicago.
Yep. Hey, I got the record down here before we close out. I mean, Jay still
good, but
yeah,
Indiana, Indianapolis Colts 8-1. I'm not convinced. No, he's doing a good job.
He did a good job. He got a 1-game edge on me and a 2-game edge on y'all. I think when he got the edge on us was the Ravens game because I think all us picked the Bears to beat the Ravens, and Jay picked the Ravens. And
so be it. That happens.
Yeah. We got a lot of football ahead of us, man. And this team, man, is resilient, and they find a way to make you hang on to the game. And the more they keep having these games, you as a fan are not walking out. If you're there, you're not walking out the stadium before the game is over. You're actually going to sit in your seat and say, hey, man, let's see if the magic going to be poured off, right? And I know it had to be a great feeling leaving Soldier Field today to see, you're out there in that bad weather. It's kind of cold out there. It's a little snow drift. It's windy on the lake. And to see your team rally back, I mean, that's a great feeling. You don't feel like you wasted your time out there on a Sunday.
Hey, I'm going to take the W. I'm happy. So,
yes, sir. Before we close, I want to send out my condolences to Michael Shaw family, our frat brother. Michael Shaw passed away yesterday. I'm not sure any of the details, but he was at a religious convention in Memphis, Tennessee, when he passed away yesterday. So prayers out to his wife, Patricia, and his children, and his sisters, because I met some of his sisters a few years ago when he renewed his wedding vows. I think it was his 30th anniversary at the time, and he renewed his wedding vows and asked me and a couple of other guys to stand up in his wedding. So I'm sending that out.
A good man, a good brother. He was our big brother when we played. So I remember him from Western Illinois. He went to Robeson before that. He was a good person, a good human being, and he will be missed. So our prayers for his family. I'm hurting as well. I think it's a loss that all of us will feel.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm sorry. Let me correct myself. I should have referred to him as Pastor Michael Shaw, because he was in the ministry and he had been doing a lot of great work in Africa early this year. I think he spent a couple of months in Africa, just spreading his faith and what he believed in. But anyway, let's get to the Bears, man. And till next time, man, we getting excited about another victory, man. Hopefully we end up being 7-3.
Let's do it.
All right. Until then, peace.